Hey Raiders, Doomers, Crusaders, Scullies, and Dialers, it's Riser Indy, and I am finally doing my Steele Jones Last Crusade Smithsonian model jacket review. This one belongs in a museum. So I want to start off by saying that this is a review for the Steele Jones Smithsonian jacket, but I feel like because so many people are interested in the Wested Legacy Last Crusade and that it's a much cheaper option than Steele Jones, that it's only right for me to compare the two. So at the end of this video, I'm going to do a little bit of a versus review between the two of them, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's talk about Steele Jones. So let's just start off by giving you a little bit of a history. Diego at Steele Jones had the opportunity to study the Smithsonian jacket, I mean the actual jacket that was on display at the Smithsonian. Diego made sure that literally every scratch was accounted for. So let's get into the nitty-gritty, starting with the leather. So Diego uses a hide that he calls the authentic lambskin for this jacket. The drape, the weight, and the undertones match what I see in the movie. You can see the way that the jacket drapes. It sits with just a little bit of weight, but not as heavy as cowhide. It's a thicker lambskin than the ribby lambskin that he uses on his Raiders main hero, which you can see in my review video. And while this leather is thicker, it doesn't mean that it's not soft and supple. It's buttery smooth and very comfortable to wear. In fact, on my non-indie days, I wear this jacket more than any other jacket in my collection, and I'm not just talking about my indie jackets. Moving on to the cut. So like I described in my other Steele Jones reviews of my Raiders and my Temple of Doom jackets, this jacket is custom made to fit my body, which means that Diego designs the patterns from scratch when you order so that the cut sits on your frame the way it does on Harrison Ford. Whereas other jackets like the Wested Legacy Last Crusade is sized up or sized down based on Harrison Ford's shape, this jacket is made from the ground up, from scratch, to fit me. And I don't just mean that the sleeves are customized or the length is customized, I mean the entire body is customized. When you order a jacket from Steele Jones, they have you send them full body pictures of your front and your back, as well as pictures of you wearing an existing Indiana Jones jacket if you already own one. And they dissect that information to determine how yours should be cut. It's that granular. So not only is the drape of the leather working, but the cut itself is going to look like it should on your body as it does on Harrison in Last Crusade. Now let's talk about the finer details. Every detail in this jacket is put in place to match the Smithsonian jacket, the actual jacket at the museum. That means not only the stitching and the overall pattern, but little details like exactly where these snap buttons are placed match the Smithsonian jacket, as you can see here. The shiny gold zipper, which he also offers a less accurate, antiqued zipper that is still in a brassy color, but is not actually accurate to the one you see in the movies. The one in the movies is actually a shiny gold, but a lot of people feel like this looks too new and too shiny, so they go for the antique. This is the accurate gold because it's me, I have to have accurate. Also, the color of the lining is much darker, almost black, as is in the Smithsonian jacket. Because the guys who run Steele Jones are passionate fans themselves and became vendors out of a desire to create a more accurate product, they know that every detail matters to their customers, and they make sure that every detail is put in place. That's why I'm such a diehard Steele Jones fanboy. There are other vendors out there that make a good product, but no one sells you a new jacket pre-distressed like Diego's. Yes, you can get leathers that are pre-distressed, but that's not the same as matching the actual distressing patterns that the original costume department made on the screen-used jackets. Diego at Steele Jones makes sure that every scratch is accounted for. And while that sounds crazy saying it out loud, I know that you know that I know that we both care about those things. So in conclusion, I think it looks just like what I see in the movies. It fits me like a dream, it's super comfortable, and every detail is there. In my opinion, you cannot go wrong with this jacket. Are there any cons? Well, the price is high. It's around $650, so it's not cheap, and there's a long wait. But that's because Steele Jones makes such a great product that everyone wants it. But it's worth it. No matter how annoying it may be to spend so much money or wait so long, the moment you get that jacket in your hands, the moment you smell it, the moment you look in the mirror and you see it on you, it's just magic. All right, so now it's time to talk about the Wested Legacy Last Crusade.
In this corner, weighing in at 1,050 grams, it's the Legacy Last Crusade in lambskin. And following up at 1,900 grams, it's the Steele Jones Smithsonian Last Crusade in authentic lambskin. Both sitting at a size 36, it's time to see how these two face against each other. Can the original jacket maker hold its ground against a fan-made replica? Tune in to see for yourself.
First off, the hide. The Legacy is a good jacket, don't get me wrong. It's a great jacket for the price. The undertones are really nice, it distresses really easily, but if you want a spot-on jacket that shows up at your door, distressed to look just like the movies, it's no contest. First off, the little details. Wested does not paint their storm flap snaps, as you can see. They're just exposed brass. And while you can paint your own, I would much rather pay the money to get something that is ready to go. And I don't understand why Wested doesn't have the storm flap snaps. That's a hard thing to say. Storm flap snaps. Storm flap snaps. Anyway, I don't understand why they don't do that, because it's actually better for weatherproofing and makes it so that these buttons don't rust. Another little tiny thing about the storm flap snaps, their placement on the Steele Jones matches the Smithsonian jacket exactly. But as you can see with the Wested, they're just a little bit off. And that's a general problem with the Wested. There's all these little details that aren't quite right, as you can see here. And again, to most of us that's not a big deal, but to those of us who want a truly accurate product and are willing to pay for it, Steele Jones is the only way to go, in my humble opinion. The other thing is the hide. Now, the Wested Legacy's hide is good, it's fine, but it's really lightweight. If you look at the drape of the Last Crusade Legacy on my body, you can see like it's a little more wavy and boxy, because again, it's cut to match Harrison Ford's build, and then it's just sized down for my smaller body. Whereas the Steele Jones is cut to sit on my frame the same way it sits on Harrison Ford's frame. And there's a big difference to me. And it's not just the cut, but the leather itself is making the drape look the way it does on my body. And I think if you look at the comparison between the two right here, you can see that the Steele Jones just drapes more like what you see in Last Crusade. A big part of that is the leather. The leather on the Steele Jones is just a little bit heavier than the Wested Legacy. And to me, that makes a huge difference. Not only in durability, because honestly, I feel like if I wanted to, I could tear this Wested Legacy in half with my bare hands, but also in the drape. And while we're on the leather, let's talk about the undertones. Now, the undertones on the Wested Legacy are very good, and they're much, much better than the Last Crusade Hero in their regular lambskin, which has almost gray undertones. But there's a richness to the undertones of the Steele Jones, like the actual Smithsonian jacket. The other thing that I don't like about the Wested Legacy, and let me be clear, this is not a problem that everyone faces with this jacket. This just happens to be a problem that I'm dealing with. But when I wear the Wested Legacy, the shoulders puff out, as you can see in these images here. It almost looks like the jacket was made improperly or something, but there's nothing wrong with the construction. Just for whatever reason, the way it sits on my body, it just wants to balloon out like that. But my Steele Jones doesn't do that. So my Wested Legacy has just been living on a hanger.
Oh, Daniel. Why did you even buy me, Daniel? Please, just wear me once.
Now, where the Wested Legacy totally beats the Steele Jones Smithsonian is the price. The Wested comes in at about $300, the Steele Jones about $650, and I understand that to a lot of you that's way too much money to spend on an Indiana Jones jacket. But if you're willing to spend the money, I assure you it's worth it. It's worth it because the cut is made for your body. It's worth it because the leather, in my opinion, is much more accurate. And it's worth it because instead of you having to figure out how to distress the jacket on your own, it arrives distressed by a master craftsman who studied the original jacket. Now, it's okay if you don't want to do the Steele Jones and you'd rather do the Wested Legacy. Like I said, I have a YouTube video where I show you how to distress your Wested Legacy to match the Smithsonian jacket. So that's it from me. If you have any questions on the Steele Jones Last Crusade Smithsonian, or even the Wested Legacy Last Crusade, leave me a comment, or you can find me on Instagram at RiserIndie. Until next time, fortune and glory, my friends. Sala! I said 3 jackets! That's 5 jackets! Can't you count? I told you! Don't do any other hide except the authentic lambskin if you're buying a Steele Jones Last Crusade jacket! Diego knows every detail of the Smithsonian Last Crusade jacket. He'll blend it, make the inaccuracies disappear. With any luck, he's made your jacket already.